Hello.
Hi, Nitasha. So good to see you.
So good to see you. I'm so excited to see you. It's yeah, fabulous.
Yes, after many years.
So I'm so excited to have Jivasu join us today. I met him a few years ago in Rishikesh, India, and I've been so impressed with his explanations of spirituality, his understanding of the scripture. Jivasu is a medical doctor who trained in India but now lives in Canada. He, even though he's trained as a medical doctor, he now teaches a very natural form of spirituality called Naturality. So I'm excited to have Jivasu share his wisdom with us as I pick his brain.
In terms of my opinion of well-being, you can't separate spirituality from well-being.
Right.
You can't separate our perception of the something more, whether it's, whether you want to look at it as from a spiritual point of view or a religious point of view as the divine, or from a scientific point of view as higher perception, whatever it is. However, you can't separate that. If we have that, we are more likely to feel
Exactly.
better about ourselves. And so
Exactly.
I thought, well, I have to include something about enlightenment, especially. And then I remembered your lectures and how you were able to marry the two and talk about enlightenment from a spiritual point of view, but it was ever so practical that even if you were somebody who thought, I'm not a spiritual person, you
Hmm.
found a way of getting to them and explaining how just a little more searching can bring joy and wisdom.
That's right.
So wouldn't it be wonderful if I had you talk about enlightenment, what it is, because I think it's a word that many people don't understand.
That's
And
correct.
then, and after you can explain to us what enlightenment is, if you can share techniques or your practice or what you're teaching in terms of naturality for how people can find enlightenment, seek enlightenment, start on this journey,
Hmm.
but also how we can use all of this to be able to express ourselves more fully in the world. I think, to a certain degree, we're all craving that, a way
Correct.
to be more authentic in the world.
That's correct. No, no, I think you are very right. And as you rightly said, enlightenment was made very poetic, very supernatural, and it was disconnected from our ordinary world. uh, and because we wanted to make certain gurus the supreme, something quite removed from the word, so that became a problem. And that is the whole theme actually, which naturality, which is a new system, full system and new way of teaching is exploring.
Mm-hmm.
So naturality is about decoding enlightenment,
Okay, wonderful,
demystifying, and also making it accessible to all.
wonderful, wonderful. So
So that is a fundamental.
I would
Mhm.
love for you to explain enlightenment from your
Mhm.
point of view, from a naturality point of view, because I think the important thing is that enlightenment has to be decoded.
Yes,
We have to make it
absolutely.
more real than this otherworldly perception that it seems to have.
Exactly, exactly. So from naturality perspective, enlightenment is not a point, it is a process.
Mhm.
Because some people think that only if I reach that point I will be enlightened. It's completely wrong. Of course there are higher points, nobody can deny, but it is a process. And because of that process, all of us are enlightened and all of us are not enlightened.
Uh-huh.
The reason being, we are somewhere in this process.
Mm-hmm.
But because somebody said only when you will reach that point you will become enlightened, we ignore our own strength, our own wisdom, our own beauty in life, and crave what we are not. So basically, we start on this path of enlightenment from fiction, not the fact. Fact is my body, my mind, where I am in a very ordinary world, with my family, with my job, with my education, little things which I enjoy. And they are the part of the enlightenment. And that is what we explored this whole process.
So, in terms of naturality, for somebody who doesn't understand the process, is intrigued by this entire idea of meditation, spirituality, seeking enlightenment, and I'm talking about enlightenment as it's widely popularized.
Correct.
For very often, I mean, the idea of enlightenment comes from Buddha sitting under a tree. Many people think enlightenment and they think that's what we're aiming for. But how can somebody who's in a job, in exactly what you said, in a very real family life with a job, how can they start this process of understanding where they're at and how to expand where they're at?
Right, right. So first of all, I think I will clarify about a working definition of enlightenment, that in the process of enlightenment, our conditioned consciousness progressively decrease. Conditioned means my past, my memories, my trauma, tragedy, emotional wounds and scar which I accumulated as I was growing up as a child or a young person. So what we want to do, gradually become more and more free so that I could get to my own core of life energy, my own creativity, my own potential. Because as that conditioned past is diminishing, decreasing, the unconditioned in me is going to be revealed. It is already there, but it is hidden by this smoke screen of the problems of my life. So that is one thing. Second thing, because of this process, life force in me will be unblocked. And that life force is not mystical. It is a part of my body. We call it prana.
Right.
So, so that prana or chi or ruha or ki, there are so many words for that. So that means that my body is going to be more alive. So I'm reclaiming my body.
Wonderful. So enlightenment is a process of reclaiming your own body.
My body, my energy. Because body is the only alive entity with me, effect. Rest of it, all the ideas of enlightenment, I borrow from the philosophies and traditions. And so I have to really look at this fact, whether this alive organism I call body is functioning fully with its own intelligence. Because from the single cell, which emerged on Earth approximately 4 billion years ago, and to this human body, is a pure miracle. There is no other thing more miraculous than this. With almost 50 trillion cells in the body and 87 billions in my brain, it is the marvelous piece which has to function, but it is not functioning fully because my memories, my trauma, my emotions from the past are actually became a squatter, occupying. So at the cellular level, it is not functioning. And that is very clear from scientific research in mind-body medicine. There are plenty of that, how they call it psycho, neuro, immuno, endocrinology, how my thoughts and emotions ultimately affect my immune system, my endocrine system, each cell of the body.
You touched on conditioning,
Yes,
and how our lives are overrun by conditioned responses, whether this conditioning is conscious or unconscious.
correct.
I'd like you to explain a little bit about conditioning as you see it,
Right,
how it relates to karma,
right,
and how you start this unblocking or unlocking or process.
right. So about karma, I will make a statement, emphatic statement, that all karma is memory.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because karma means action. Action is going on in my mind through in my thoughts and emotions. When I'm speaking, it is also a kind of action. And when I work in outside world, that is another form of action. So thoughts, emotions, feelings, speech, and actual action in the world. That is the totality of action which is going on inside me. And then everything outside me is also in perpetual action. Everything is in flux. Now, how that is happening? The basis of that is memory. So my body is born out of memory from the genes of my father and mother. Then epigenetic influence of my ancestor, my environment, is encoded in my cells. So they are influencing me. Then I learn from my culture how to think, what to speak, and what to do. So one thing is clear, that what we call karma is nothing else but memory at physical level, at emotional level, at cognitive level. It
And
is
it,
nothing else but memory.
and it is this memories that condition us.
That condition us. Because I want to go beyond this memory which is circulating in my body and mind constantly. I'm in this pattern forever. I want to break those patterns.
Yeah.
And how it starts? Human baby is the most immature baby born in living world. Because human baby's brain only matures around the age of 20 to 25 years. Prefrontal cortex.
Mm-hmm.
In comparison of all other animal babies who become very functional within moments or days or sometimes in 2-3 years. But human baby needs longest care. And that care is given by parents in the form of love, and the whole culture, whole custom, whole tradition gives support to child physically and psychologically. And child has to accept that. So child has to conform or adapt to a particular culture, way of life. Absolutely vital, absolutely necessary, but in that process, the child, when it becomes adult, lose something vital, original, which is given to him or her by nature.
And would you say that essence that is natural to us is also the source of our creativity?
Exactly. Because in those moments of creativity, we experience flow, and flow is a very well studied phenomena. And in those moments, action and awareness become one, and we are exploding this vitality. That is why some people get addicted. So all creative people, and even in extreme sports, why they do such dangerous things? Because in those moments, what happens, and it's, as I said, it's a very well researched topic. There are a lot of studies are available. In those moments, the conditioning is bypassed, And whatever original is there, it flows through my brain and body. And because it flows through my brain and body, in those moments, I experience fullness of life.
So, in terms of experience of enlightenment and the slow unlocking process. So,
That's
in
right.
that aha moments or enlightenment moments, would you say that is very similar to the peak experiences that we talk about in flow states?
That's correct.
Okay.
Because Abraham Maslow called it peak experience. And Mihai Csikszentmihalyi, Hungarian psychologist, he called it flow. But they are same things.
Same thing.
Because we are reaching to the peak of our potential in that moment with full awareness and full life force. We are fully alive.
So you've just touched on a very exciting concept. As we are faced with artificial intelligence and the rate of artificial intelligence expanding on a daily basis,
Right.
Human beings, it seems that our only value is our creativity.
That's
Now, if
correct.
enlightenment and creativity is about freeing the mind and body to express yourself fully, then it's probably the most important thing that we can aim for as a species.
Absolutely. That's right. Because science and materialism can give us comfort, pleasure, safety, long life. But the most important components of our life, the existential meaning, fulfillment, purpose, love, compassion, we have to discover through our life force and creativity. No outside agency can ever give us.
For me, this topic is wonderfully interesting because it seems that, whether we're talking enlightenment, creativity, human intelligence, consciousness, we're alluding to the same thing.
Exactly.
It's no matter how we talk about it, we come to the same thing.
Exactly.
So I think the important thing, and while we have somebody like you who's a medical doctor, who's also teaching spirituality and enlightenment from a very natural point of view, I think, I have to ask you, so share the tips for us to get closer to
That's right.
achieving that whole. And I understand exactly what you're saying. We're all on a path.
That's right.
Right. And in all honesty, because human creativity, universal consciousness is possibly ever expanding. I'm not sure there's an endpoint to it.
Right.
But how do we ensure that we're moving in the right direction?
So in naturality, we start with what we call a healthy identity. Most important for a child or a young person or an adult is to be rooted in a family, in a culture, in something, because that gives a person an identity. Because without identity, healthy identity, I cannot function in the world. That is my reference point.
Okay, yeah.
Because I want to get education, I want to earn my livelihood, I want to fall in love, create relationship, I want to get married and perhaps have children or not children, then I want to get a job. I want to be connected with this ordinary world, which is a very beautiful one. I don't want to bypass, and a lot of people, they want to bypass and they become the victim of their enthusiasm. And particularly people who suffered in their childhood trauma or damage, abuses, and they couldn't form that healthy identity because they cannot function in the very ordinary world. So they want to bypass it. I met a lot of them and I said, you cannot. It will pull you back. First of all, become somewhat comfortable with this ordinary world. And that is the entry point.
Mm-hmm.
Because then I have freedom from continuous stress. Otherwise I'll be stressed that I don't have money, I don't have sufficient food, that I'm struggling with my anxiety and depression, emotional volatility, borderline personality disorder, and eating disorders. I just want to calm down so I have sufficient energy and time to enter into the second door of enlightenment. So the first door is a healthy identity, which means self-care, care of others, trust, boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
And after that quest, real quest start. If I'm not able to take care of myself, if I become narcissistic, I'm not taking care of others, if I don't trust anybody in this world, if I don't have psychological and physical boundary, how I'm going to proceed on the path? This is a very ordinary world I'm talking about. So to me, ordinary world is beautiful. I don't want to bypass, I don't want to abandon it, I don't want to leave it or reject it. That is first door. Once I assured that, then the second door comes, we call personality. I'm born with my natural personality. In Ayurveda, it is called doshas. In Enneagram, they give 9 types of personality. Nearly all healing system of the world, they had their own idea. So that is the second one. Because with the first door, I enter into the world. With the second door of personality, I enter into my own inner world.
Mm-hmm.
Because then I know exactly what kind of lifestyle I want to take, how much sleep I need, what kind of food I need, what kind of work, relationship, what kind of home, clothes, hygiene, or even if I'm fond of pranayam and yoga and meditation, what kind will be good for me? Because once I enter into this door, and that is not very difficult, we do it all the time, then first time I unblock a little bit of my life's energy. So the criteria of entering into my door is moments of flow. When I'm aligned with the natural rhythms of my body, my thoughts, my emotions, and feeling.
Okay.
And what is happening now? By the first door, I was getting self-esteem from the world because I was part of something. With the second, I'm getting self-esteem from within.
Okay.
So now I'm becoming independent.
So it shifts from an external almost, you talked about, comfort and physical, surviving physically in the world. So almost an externally driven process
That's
to
right.
one that's highly internal. So the second door is when you enter into an internal process where
Exactly.
the motivation becomes inner motivation as
Exactly.
opposed to meeting external goals.
Exactly. Yeah. So now with the knowing ourselves, our personality, our personal intelligence, and entering into ourselves, which means fully becoming aware of our mind and body, unblocking that life force, self-esteem coming from within, we are getting more and more energetic. Because for any exploration, including enlightenment, I need a lot of passion. Patanjali, so many people miss a major part of his teachings. In Niyama, he talks about Kriya Yoga. He gave a term Kriya Yoga, and Kriya Yoga is a combination of Swadhyay, self-study, tapas, which is heat, and Ishwar Pranidhan, surrender to God. And tapas means passion. Unless I have passion for something, no matter how much knowledge, I'm never going to succeed. I need passion.
Mm-hmm.
And this is not external passion. Nobody can give me. It has to emerge from within. And that is what starts happening once I'm entering into my mind and body, my personality. I'm unblocking that wonderful energy, and that creates passion, thrill, excitement.
So the enlightenment process, as you unlock more of it, becomes one that's highly energetic, full with passion, excitement.
Yes.
Um, it's not about suppressing everything and and running away and sitting in isolation. It can be one that's vibrant and full of passion.
Of course, because it is like dancing in a marketplace. That is what enlightenment is all about. Because nature, that energy wants me to express what it gifted to me. It doesn't want to hide, it doesn't want to separate, because that is the nature of everything. A flower, a butterfly, a tree, a river, they just shine in their totality. They don't hide anything.
So the ultimate aim of enlightenment, and I'm going to use be very simplistic about it. The ultimate aim of enlightenment is complete self-expression.
Total, in consciousness and in body.
Yeah.
Both consciousness and body, because sometimes people, they just say I'm not the body. Completely wrong. Because enlightenment is not the enlightenment of consciousness, it is the enlightenment of the body.
Because the consciousness is already enlightened.
That's right. But body, which was the victim of my past, my memories, my karma, is now freed.
Thank you, Jivasu, for sharing that with us. Just to summarize, enlightenment from a naturality perspective is a three-step process. First is development of a healthy identity, expressing your natural inner personality. And once you're able to do that, you live passionately. So enlightenment means living fully and passionately. Now, last week we talked about personal power and living with purpose and passion. And next week, we following on from here, we're discussing the ego and how we need to develop our egos in order to live passionately. However, there's a difference between ego and egoistic. So join me next week when I look at our egos and how to live passionately without the limitations of egos.